dad like gets you anyway. It was meant to be.
Hello. So I recently took a semi-solo trip to Hawaii. It was half business and the other half personal. The first half of the trip, I was there by myself, and in a later video, you all will be able to see why I called it semi-solo. I'll also get into the personal and fun stuff in a bit, but let's chat and tackle some of the businessy stuff I reflected on. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and for the returning folks, welcome back. As some of you might have noticed, if you are subscribed and following along my journey, you might have noticed I've been testing and prototyping a bunch of different types of videos, tools, as well as learning my own personal style and basically just trying to figure out how I'm navigating life as a solo creative entrepreneur. Something I'm super proud about is at the top of the year, I hired some virtual assistants to help me out, and so far, it's been going well. I'll share more details about that in a later video. Another big moment for me this year was I recently celebrated a milestone birthday, which is also why I took this trip. Let me know in the comments if you can guess my age. If you know me in real life, you're disqualified from guessing. But my birthday happens to fall smack dead in the middle of the year, so I figured this would be a good time to check off one of the things on my bucket list, which was to travel somewhere solo, and to also have a personal check-in with myself and reflect on what I want this next chapter of my life to look and feel like. For me, what I came up with is I have to schedule more time for breaks and leisure, and most importantly, try to establish a bit more of a work-life balance routine. Something I thought about was Was there ever a time where I felt like things just flowed and there was some sort of balance? And the only thing that I came up with was I thought back to when I was younger and in elementary school. I don't know about you all, but for me, I went from having a spring, summer, and winter break. Then in middle school, at one point I had a schedule where we would go for 3 months straight and then take a break for a month. And then when I got into college, I went back to having a similar schedule where I got seasonal breaks. Then when I stepped into adulthood, it's like there was no off button. I kind of just kept going on this hamster wheel and always felt like I was on the go. Until it was a holiday, there was some sort of tragic event like a panorama, or a loved one passed away, or it was some sort of special occasion like a wedding or a baby shower where I would somehow find the time to take a break. And even when I did vacation or take a break, somehow, like now, I've always found myself working or feeling the pressure that I should be doing something productive. Did I subconsciously think I deserve rest only after I'm creatively burnt out? I don't know why that is or where it exactly stems from, but I told myself it's okay to relax. And so while traveling, I decided to challenge myself. And anytime I felt the urge to do something productive, instead, I would remind myself to just chill. And alternatively, just try filming myself just being, so I could start to get comfortable resting and normalizing simply being present. This trip was a way for me to carve out a mini sabbatical, and I mean heavy on the mini part. I spent a week in Hawaii and I thought a lot about how I didn't even know what the hell a sabbatical was until recently when I had a few former coworkers take one. It's basically paid time off to give people the opportunity to travel and study outside of their regular job roles to advance their careers. Usually it's given to those who has worked for a company for an extended period of time, typically 5+ years or so. The idea of this alone got me thinking, wow, could I imagine how much more creative, whole, clear-minded, and rested I would be if I had moments where someone invested in me to take time to perfect my craft, or time simply for a personal development day. I even thought about how in corporate settings you typically have a company offsite where you get a chance to meet other members on the team, reflect on past projects, think about the future, and do a little bit of team building activities. So when I decided to take this trip, my mindset around this was, what are some ways I can regroup, relax, and also take a bit of time to practice my craft as a solo entrepreneur? Some other things I reflected on is, even though I enjoy making this content, it's free for y'all to watch, but I also put a lot of my personal expenses into this. So I have to figure out, how do I make this make sense? Meaning, make time to continue to practice my craft, take breaks, maintain my full-time job, have a social life, and build toward the future I want for myself, so I can hop off this hamster wheel and see if I can attempt to do this whole work-life balance thing, or who knows, maybe even one day be a full-time artist or content creator. If I want to do more travel videos, I have to invest in the trips and the equipment to do so. If I want to do more tech reviews or car videos, I have to invest in the gear first. If it's something I want more or less of, it's up to me to actively take the steps towards that goal. If I want to have certain opportunities and experiences, I have to be willing to give and create it for myself first before I have the expectation that any company or person will give it to me. I have to put in the groundwork first. Another thing I came to terms with is, unfortunately, I have to pay to play in order to do the things I want, because nothing is given. And that also means assessing what aspects do I need to cut back on so I can invest in my future self. And on the flip side, I also found myself admiring terms and language such as, I do not dream of labor, or soft life, everything is content and main character energy. And I also came to terms that I need to determine why that only sounds good, but what does that actually look like and how does that translate into reality? For me, it translates into I want to be wealthy in the amount of places I have traveled and have a collection of experiences and memories. I want an abundance in the amount of time I can get to know myself outside of the work I do, so I can function and navigate in this world as a healthy human being. I want to have the ability to have the choice of what I do when I wake up in the morning and not wake up feeling rushed to complete a project or show up to a place to serve someone else's agenda that I know very little about. Things I struggle with is how to be non-capitalist when I live in a capitalist society, how to find that sweet spot of creating the business content I enjoy talking about, but also creating engaging lifestyle content that I know viewers want to watch, without getting stuck in that trap of creating only for the amusement of others. How can I continue to create and share information with other creators about the things I'm learning on my entrepreneurship journey without gatekeeping information, but also not going into debt, getting the gear and the tech and the tools to keep up with the algorithms and things? Also, as I begin to create more content, I have to set boundaries with the internet because everything is not content, and I get to decide what I want to share and what I don't want to share publicly. And ultimately, understanding and shifting my mind to realize my expectations and how things should be is not the reality of how things are. And now that I have fully grasped that, I can begin to make more conscious efforts and move with intention and actively choose joy instead of being frustrated about things I have no control over. I've even thought of how music artists or authors have curated a collection of work or projects and then live off their royalties or the fruits of their labor and the time that was dedicated to that one album or novel they chose to put out into the world. I wonder, what will my legacy project be? What will your legacy project be? And as a woman, I'm trying to figure out, do I want my legacy to be raising children or birthing a big creative project? I think a lot of people get to a point where you try to figure out work-life balance and prioritizing what matters most in your life, building intimate relationships, making time for self-care, and also choosing whether to have a career or not. Can self-care and girl bossing both coexist? Is there a way to pursue a creative career path without experiencing burnout, and it still allows for time for you to spend with friends, family, and do the things you need to properly care for yourself? Can I create a business and way of being where I can say no to projects that don't align with my personal values? Can I connect with brands and do collaborations that make sense? And say yes to only the things that are sustainable, have longevity, brings joy, and create a healthy work-life balance. So this next chapter is going to be an experiment to see if I can curate a life where I'm not feeling overworked. I'm going to attempt to curate a creative life that feels healthy and allows me to make a living while still being able to show up for my friends, my family, and most importantly, myself. I think we all should have the ability to create a life that we love, and I think that is only possible through accessibility. But how do you create things that are accessible when it costs to live in this world? I'll be sharing more of my authentic thoughts, reflections, and behind the scenes over on my Patreon for the creatives and solopreneurs who are out there trying to get your life as well. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and stay tuned and subscribe for the fun stuff.